So, hello everyone. I'm back doing interviews, and today I'm with a very, very special person, Seb Farr, the magician. So, could you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah. How you doing, Nick? So my name's Seb. I'm a close-up magician and kind of like a mind reader from Bristol. I've been in the industry for 8, 9 years. I get hired to go all over, perform to some amazing people. Um, I work mostly bars, restaurants when I'm not out performing corporate gigs. So that's me really.
So, have you ever been interviewed before? Is this new to you? Or?
This is totally new to me. Yeah, no one's ever really asked my opinion on anything.
Nah, I'm very sure, everybody's got their own, story to tell, and, each special's the next. So,
Of
obviously,
course.
starting off with a quite a bog standard question, but it's very important. No, what inspired you to become a magician and how did you get started in the world of magic?
I've been asked this question so many times, and I really wish that I had an amazing story. You hear all of these famous magicians with these incredible stories, and mine's kind of it's an odd one. So my ex-wife wanted me to quit smoking, and she read an article online that said that people that learn how to shuffle cards, it stimulates your hands, it makes you want to smoke less. So I started shuffling cards and I started learning a couple of simple card tricks off the back of it, and eventually I kind of started getting a bit of a bug to how people reacted to me doing these card tricks, and I thought I can try and take this a little bit more seriously. So I started getting, you know, progressively a bit better. Um, and then I got an email out of the blue from one of my friends saying, "Do you still do magic and card tricks and stuff?" And I said, "Yeah." He went, "Do you want to come and do my wedding? I'll pay you 50 quid just to come and do card tricks for a couple of hours." And to me, thinking of like getting paid literally to do what I mess around in front of a mirror doing, I thought that was the most insane thing. So I went and I did it and I had a really, really good time. I learned a lot from it. Your first gig as a magician is it's never going to be amazing. It never is because it's you've got the pressure of being paid and it's a bigger live audience and not one that you've selected. So I got quite humbled by that gig, and then I thought I can probably end up making a little bit of money on the side from this. So I did. I started going off and doing friends, families, weddings, and the occasional like birthday party, that sort of thing. And after about 18 months, I decided that I really wanted to you know, start taking it seriously and start pursuing this. So I went to an open mic night at a bar in Bristol called Smoke and Mirrors. And I met a guy called Dan Chard, who was the head magician there at the time. He still works there. He's a stage magician now. And I went, "Well, I want to work with you guys. I want to do what you do." And he went, "Well, show me something." So I showed him what I thought was the most amazing magic trick that anyone had ever seen. And he looked at me very deadpan and went, "That was awful, mate. You are nowhere near this league yet. But I tell you what, come back every Wednesday. I will spend time with you. I will start working with you." And I did. And after a year of going every Wednesday to open mic nights, eventually the owner of the bar, Mark, decided to give me an opportunity. That was, yeah, it was 4 years ago now, 4.5 years. So from there, it just kind of got bigger and bigger and bigger for me.
Wow, sounds amazing. And yeah, sometimes just need someone to give you a chance. Teach you,
Exactly. Yeah.
master your craft. So before that, were you completely new to performing in front of people?
Well, I started out when I was a lot younger. I wanted to be an actor. Um, so I went to performing art school to study acting. Um, I ended up falling out of love with it. When you're a child actor, you realise that other child actors' parents aren't the nicest people in the world. They'll try and psych you out at auditions and stuff like that when you're
Yeah.
12, 13 years old. I really lost the bug for it and decided that I was going to go off and do other things with life. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've always had that thing where if I can make a group of people laugh or, be the center of attention by acting a bit of a clown, then I'll take the opportunity.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And yeah, there's a lot of competition, actors
Yeah,
especially, But life leads you in many different ways, and you're here now. You've made a good image for yourself and a good name for yourself, and that's what's important, really. And
well, thank you.
so you've obviously done a lot of performances. What you saying, 8, 9 years that you've been doing magic now.
Yeah,
Would you say there's any performances that really stood out to you?
yeah. It was at the start of this year, so
Mm.
I got booked off of like a booking app
Yeah,
for a wedding in Wales in Swansea, and I put through what my usual fee for a wedding would be, and
yeah.
chatting away to this bride to be. She was a really nice lady. She was like, okay, so yeah, this is the venue. I did a little bit of research on the venue, and I was like, oh, it's quite high end. That's quite nice. I turned up on the day, and it turned out to be it was a Premier League footballer's wedding.
Oh my God.
Totally unprepared. Like turned up, and there was a lot of very well known people there, a lot of famous faces. There was royalty from other countries. It was the most insane thing that's ever happened. But you know, they paid for me to perform at the wedding. Famous people are just people too, and most of them don't know how magic works and enjoy it the same way as anyone else. So I kind of just forgot about who these people were and just introduced myself, started doing what I do, and yeah, got some great reactions. Sadly, didn't get any photos because I had to
Yeah,
keep disclosure about who the footballer was and the guests and everything.
yeah,
So
that's
that's a shame.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Out of the blue as well. Just goes to
Yeah,
you on the right track there. And yeah, so has there been on the other side of the spectrum, has there ever been a performance, that didn't go to plan or no?
yeah. I mean, many. Um, I've got to the point now where even if I go wrong, I've done this for that long that I can make it appear that nothing's actually gone wrong, and
Mm.
just move on to something else and draw back to whatever's gone wrong at a later date. But when I first started out, I didn't have that experience.
Mm.
I remember the maybe fourth paid gig I ever did. Um, I hadn't done my due diligence, and I just turned up and was ready to perform. And the venue that I turned up at was like an old cricket club. When I turned up, there was only like one window left in the building. The rest had been boarded up.
Oh my
I
God.
thought the place had been abandoned. It wasn't until someone staggered out to come outside and have a cigarette that I realised that there were people in there. So I walked in. I'd not met the bride and groom before, so I didn't know what they looked like. So I walked up to the first person I saw in a white dress because it was a wedding, and I said, "Oh, lovely to meet you. My name's Seb. I'm the magician." And this lady in the white dress turned out just to be the new bride's sister-in-law. Decided to also wear a white dress on the same day, which had caused an argument.
Yeah.
The by the time I got there, it was a bit too late in the day. Everyone had had a bit too much to drink, so I got heckled a lot. I tried to come back at lot of the hecklers in my own unique style, which
Yeah.
caused again a few issues. Long story short, I ended up refunding the gig, leaving about 45 minutes early, having been punched, which is a
What?
whole different
Oh
story.
God.
But yeah, it was just an absolute nightmare from start to end. But it was a learning experience, and it's a brilliant story to be able to tell other magicians when we sit down and talk about the worst gigs that we've ever had.
Yeah, I can only imagine. It's bloody hell. But there are people like that in the world, isn't there? You can't make everyone happy, and
Well,
well,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
certain members of that audience I definitely didn't make happy, but it
yeah,
was it was an experience at least.
yeah, yeah. So obviously in the world of magic, no, there are many different tricks. Do you make some of your own? Do you have to make new tricks constantly, or would you say there's a set amount that learn to master and you can just use them again?
So I've got three or four tricks that will never ever leave my repertoire.
Mm.
Um, mainly for the fact that I just love performing them, and I can always change the narrative or slightly tweak the mechanics behind it to make it look like something totally new. But for the most part, I do cycle through different material and learn new material. With magicians, someone will come out with an amazing idea. They'll market that and sell it. You can buy that trick, buy the rights to be able to perform it, the props, the tutorial, and everything. So yeah, for the most part, I kind of just buy that off of them, like buy whatever suits my style, and then rework it. I'll write it into a story that I think is believable. Me telling.
Yeah.
'Cause I think it's what I do is mostly just storytelling that encompasses magic.
Mm. Yeah. So would you say there's a lot of competition in the magic world, like with different magicians, booking that spot?
Yeah,
Would you say?
the magic industry is one of the weirdest industries I've ever worked in, where people will undercut you by 50, £100 just to get a gig because they don't like you, or
Mm.
someone will undercut you because they really want that gig. Um, it's really really odd how it works out. I would say that there is competition, there is constant competition, um, especially around Bristol. The Bristol area is very very saturated. There is a lot of magicians that work in Bristol.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of very, very talented magicians that work in Bristol.
Mm.
It seems to be a hub for where some of the best come from. Um, some of the best card mechanics that I've ever met have come from Bristol. But yeah, there is a fair chunk of competition out there, and for the most part, quite healthy. But yeah, it's a unique industry to work in, is what I'll say.
Mm. I can imagine.
I
Yeah.
imagine, yeah.
Nothing like, all the other, jobs you can have, but I can imagine it can be very exciting and challenging. So,
100%.
to keep up with the competition, what would you say, sets you apart from other magicians? What's like unique about your style?
Um, Now, that's always a really tough question. There isn't overly anything unique about what I do. My personality is a big thing that sells me.
Mm.
People hire me because of how I am, how I act as a performer. People kind of remember meeting me, which I think is quite nice.
Yeah.
The way that I see it is slightly different to how other magicians perform. So I genuinely, when I met you and I performed to you,
Mm.
I started out by telling you that I didn't know what was going to happen in the 5 to 10 minutes that I was going to be with you, and I genuinely don't. I know all of my material like the back of my hand, but I don't know what I'm going to perform to each person until I meet them and say hello. Um, because to me, it's magic's almost like a one act play that hasn't been written
Yeah.
until you've met all the cast. Um, and the most important cast members are the people that are watching. These are the most influential members of that cast. And if I perform something that you're not going to enjoy, then your memory of me is going to be I was all right, but I didn't overly enjoy what he performed. But
Yeah.
if I feed off of where your energy's at, how you react to meeting me, how you react to me saying, "Oh, I'm kind of like a magician." That's a tagline that I use, kind of like a magician, because I'm not overly mad like. So yeah, it all depends on how you react, and then I will build that set around what conversation we have. I mean, whilst I was performing to you, we were genuinely just having a random conversation, getting to know each other.
Yeah.
Encompassed into that was a magic trick that kind of fed into the conversation that we were having.
Yeah.
So that kind of, yeah, I've not seen many other magicians perform
Mm.
like that. A lot of them are very strict on their sets. They will have
Yeah.
three specific sets which they will perform table to table. So I've not really ever seen anyone kind of fly by the seat of their pants like that before.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, that it comes with confidence. How, would you say that came straight away to you because you're past with acting, or would you say it took a while?
It's peculiar. So it's almost like I'm wearing a suit of armor. When I put my suit on, it's almost like a suit of armor, and it's a costume, and it's an entire act. As a human being, I'm not overly confident. I'm quite anxious, very cautious. Um, so it's taken a while to get to how I am around people. I used to be almost like a caricature of myself when I was out performing, and that took a lot of energy to do. After 2 3 hours of working, I'd be quite mentally exhausted. So to be able to be like myself, just a very confident version of myself, is like a happy medium.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's taken a long time to get to how I am, be able to literally walk up to anyone in a room and go, you know what, I'm going to show you something that you may never have seen before. The odds are you're never going to see it like this again, and
yeah,
actually have the confidence to be able to go and to pull that off.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, obviously, builds over time. I think that's with everything you set your mind to. The more you do it over again, you get more confident at it.
Yeah,
Like with your tricks, and your magic, does it take a long time to master what you're doing, or would you say it comes pretty much straight away to you? Oh,
it does depend. It depends on the mechanics behind it. So I've got mild dyspraxia.
hmm,
I've got high function autism, mild dyspraxia, which realistically, sleight of hand should be the absolute opposite of anything that I should ever do, because it means number one, socializing with people, and number two, using my dexterity. But I've never shied away from a challenge. There are certain tricks that I've been trying to learn. Well, there's one particularly I've been trying to master for about 3 years, and I'm not confident enough to perform it in front of a paying audience yet.
yeah, yeah,
Some stuff I've been able to pick up and literally get it out the box, perform it that night at a paid gig. But yeah, it just all depends on what the trick is, on where the mechanics lie behind it, and whether I can automatically see how I can perform it and how I can write a story to it. But yeah, it's a tough question, that one. I
yeah,
would
yeah.
say it does depend. Like I said, 3 years for one trick. Once I get it right 100% of the time, I'll be using it all the time. But yeah, it's a lot of effort to go into one thing.
So do like magicians, do they like learn off each other, or would you say it's more, you know, do your own thing sort of?
Now that depends from magician to magician. For me, from my point of view, I love learning off other magicians, not just about sleight of hand, the art, but the business side of things, the experience, the how to deal with hecklers, all of this. I will lap up any advice, and I will share any experiences that I've got. There are magicians in my industry that are so above the grade, so creative and so incredible that for the most part they will just go off, they'll do their own thing. And there will be times that they get advice or they learn from someone else, but for the most part these people are so drawn into the craft that they will pretty much know it. I mean, my personal learning style at the moment is I'm learning from really old books that have been out of print for over 100 years. I'm learning from them and starting to think of how can I bring this stuff that was really popular in the 1920s 100 years forward, kind of change the language and change some of the props that are involved in it.
Yeah. So how do you practice? Do you do it, by yourself, or do you do it in front of someone?
It is 90% by myself, so I will
Yeah.
sit from my angle and I'll watch it from my angle. If I'm reading from a book, I'll be reading along as I'm performing it. And then I will practice and practice and practice until I can do it whilst I'm not looking at my hands. If it's a card trick, whilst I'm looking up. And then I'll start recording myself performing it. All of this will be totally silent, by the way. I don't put any words to it until the mechanics
Yeah,
fit into place and I know the timings. Once I've mastered the mechanics, then I'll start thinking about, okay, so what's the story behind this? What works with this? Um, and then I'll start writing a script. Then I'll record myself just saying the script, not actually performing the trick. I'll listen to it back as I would be an audience member, imagine how the trick would be going, and then I start recording myself actually performing the trick with the scripts and everything. After that point, sadly, my long suffering friends then have to deal with that for 4, 5, 6 weeks until I end up putting it into my acts, basically. So something new could take me 8 weeks to turn around. But then again, like I said, I have just grabbed something out of a box before, performed it on the same night, and started writing the scripts dynamically. Again, I guess it depends on what it is, but for
yeah,
the most part, I put a lot of prep, a lot of hours into each individual move and why that move exists and why I should be doing that at that time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, what kind of tricks would you say, are harder to learn? Like, would you say card tricks or more, technological tricks, you could do with your calculator on your phone or
So I don't overly use the phone side of things. There are some amazing digital magicians out there, guys that use technology, iPads, TV screens, and they do some phenomenal stuff with it. I don't overly do that. For me personally, it comes down to either Rubik's Cube magic, which is just, again, they are a league above some of these Rubik's Cube magicians. They are phenomenal. Or it would come down to the mind reading side of things, because mind reading is the closest thing to real magic that you'll ever see, because it is focused solely on the human condition and how someone is going to react to what you're doing, whether they're going to tell you the truth, whether they're going to lie about it. That there's so many more moving parts involved. A card trick is, the sleight of hand might be difficult to learn, but once you've learned it and you've got it right once, you're not ever going to get it wrong again.
mm,
And if you do get it wrong, you're in the middle of a card trick, you can just do something else, totally change the subject, and no one will realize that it's gone wrong. With a mind reading act, you've got no prop to back you up, and if it goes wrong, that's it. That's game over.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, would you say mind reading that is harder, more it takes longer to
It's a lot
master?
harder. Yeah, mind reading and Rubik's cube stuff is, yeah, for me the most difficult
Yeah.
to get my head around.
So like when you're performing and you're doing your tricks, how would you handle like a skeptical audience or someone that's a bit more on the side? Yeah, he doesn't really believe in magic, or how do you deal with that when you're performing?
So that, yeah, I mean, this a subject that was brought up recently with a couple of friends of mine who were like, "Oh, I can't stand a skeptic. I'll just walk away from them." And for me, I love a skeptic. I'm naturally a skeptic at heart. I will always ask why. All a skeptic is to a human being is someone who wants to ask more questions, wants to have a little bit more understanding. Some of them, they can be a little bit, uptight. They can be quite rude sometimes.
Mm,
But for me, I embrace the fact that person's a skeptic. Oh, amazing. I'm a skeptic myself. I'm so skeptical about everything. I will always ask questions about everything under the sun. If I don't fully understand it, I want to know why too. And then I'll just say, but for me, I'm an entertainer. All I want to do is entertain you. I want to make you laugh. I want to make you have a good time. Now, you know, if you're not down for that, you're not down for that. There's nothing that I can do. But for this time being, let's imagine this is just entertainment. All we're watching is the entertainment side of things, and I'm not telling you that anything that I'm doing is real. I'm just here to make you laugh.
yeah,
For the most part, that'll get a skeptic on side. Some of them, again, can always they will be horrible throughout the entire act. For the most part, I'll either be equally, I'll just match the energy back,
Yeah, fair.
be quite passive aggressive, or I'll just totally ignore them because all they want is a reaction. And if they get ignored, they feel pretty daft about it.
Yeah. Do you meet a lot of people like that, or would you say majority is fine?
Yeah, so there's always one at every gig. There
Oh,
just always seems to
really?
be one at every gig, or at least one. But for the most part, people just understand it for the entertainment
Yeah,
value of what it is. I'm an entertainer. I'm not claiming to be anything. I'm not claiming to be Jesus. I'm not claiming that I'm going to change the world.
yeah,
I'm an entertainer. I'm there to entertain people. That's it. So for the most part, people get on board. I mean, I've had the absolute opposite end of a skeptic once. I did a spoon bending act for a lady who did genuinely believe that I had subhuman powers, and she somehow got hold of my email address, sent me half a dozen emails saying that she was the secretary of this paranormal appreciation society thing, and they wanted me to go and do a talk. And I was like, no, no, I'm an entertainer. None of what I did was real. Like I am genuinely, I'm just a magician. She was going, it's okay, you don't have to hide, and genuinely like believed that I was something that I wasn't. And I felt, yeah, I felt quite upset that I'd misled that lady that much, even after trying to be as honest as I could be, to the fact that she believed that I had some other worldly powers.
yeah. Do you get a lot of people like that, or just the one off?
That was just the one. Luckily, I have had an elderly Irish woman chanting Latin at me, trying to get the devil out of me at a
Oh my
wedding once.
God.
That was Yeah, that was really peculiar. Yeah, she was like, "I'm going to try and get the devil out of you," and I went, "I'm pretty sure that he would have left, that he'd just come in anyway." But yeah,
Oh,
for the most part, it is literally people that just want to have a laugh and
yeah,
be entertained.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I suppose that's the industry you're in, and it's just
Yeah,
a bit of
sure.
fun, really, isn't it? It's just trying to make people laugh, put a smile on the face.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in like the world that we're in now. We do need a bit of a boost.
Everyone needs to smile from time to time. Absolutely everyone needs to smile. And yeah, to be able to do that is one of the most rewarding jobs that anyone could ever do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So with magicians, I'm sure many people want to know. I definitely want to know. There's a magician's code, sort of, about your tricks. Do you ever, tell people how to do your tricks, or do you ever, release your secret, or is it, locked away
To
forever?
non-magicians,
It's a non-magician.
um, yeah, okay. So if there's any magicians watching now, they will totally understand this. They will. Well, I hope they will. Either that or they'll hate me for it. So I have recently, um, very recently, taught a girl that I know one of the tricks that I perform in order for her to go to work and perform it on her friends. Now, yeah, was it the right thing to do? Probably not. But at the same time, it was almost like a really nice experiment of, this is someone who's never performed a magic trick. I'm going to teach them something
Yeah,
that I perform to paying audiences, and see whether the next day when they go into work they can fool their friends with it.
yeah.
And fair dues, yeah, it worked. I mean, it worked 100%. And she was texting me all day, telling me how over the moon everyone was, and how she'd done the same thing 9 times to the same group of people, and they couldn't figure it out. Um, so yeah, that is the only time that I've done that.
Yeah,
For the most part, if someone really, really wanted to know, if I had someone in my audience who really, really, really wanted to know, I would signpost them to the books that I learned from. I would 100% release the names of the books that I learned from, because that's not a guarded secret, and in the hope that that person would buy that book and would take the time and would learn and respect
the trade.
the
Yeah.
amount of effort that has to go into being able to do this
Mm.
at a level that you get paid.
Yeah.
Um, there are many, many amateur magicians out there, and some of them I would count even better than myself, but they're not interested in the financial side of things. That they're getting booked. They just love it because it's a hobby of theirs. But yeah, I would always signpost towards the documents that I've learned from and the books that I've learned from over teaching someone, apart from that one case.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, obviously you've been doing this, for a while now, and if someone wanted to, well, for me, for example, if I wanted someone that's completely new, knew nothing absolutely about magic, what is a piece of advice that you'd give to aspiring magicians, and what would you tell them to do or give them some guidance? What would you say to them?
So this is a tough one because I feel like I'm still so new to this industry that advice given by me shouldn't shouldn't be taken as gospel. But the advice I would give is get as much advice as you can from as many different magicians. Don't take all of it. Don't follow all of it to the letter. Take it, see what's said, compare it to what other people have said, um, and then find your own way. Be prepared to make mistakes. Be prepared to be heckled. Um, be prepared to be challenged on a lot of the stuff you're doing. Be prepared to upset other magicians. That's just going to happen regardless. The realisticness of what this craft, what this art is to me, is that we are actors. We are actors with a phenomenal amount of skill, whether that's the understanding of the human brain, whether that's one's dexterity, but we're actors with props. So the biggest advice would be take every bit of advice that you can, look at it, see whether it relates to you, but then go and find your own way and be prepared to make your own mistakes because otherwise all you're going to be is a carbon copy of someone else.
Mm. Yeah,
And there is no real room for tribute acts in the magic community. You get eaten alive.
yeah. You got to create your own personality. You got to sell
Of
your own
course.
brand. But yeah, yeah, that's good words, especially for because magic's it's quite a mysterious thing. People don't know a lot about it, and it's important. To know if you ever did want to go into that. It's important to know starting steps and how to develop yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been absolutely amazing chatting to you today. Thanks so much for coming on. I know you're a busy man. I know are you preparing for a fight for a charity now?
Yeah, I'm fighting for golden retriever charity, the Southern Golden Retriever Rescue.
Yeah.
So I'm getting into the boxing ring, first time in 10 years on the
Oh
16th of
wow.
November.
Yeah.
So as you can see, I'm in my gym gear right now. I'm
Yeah.
literally going to head out and train as soon as I'm done here, because that's all I seem to do. If I'm not gigging, I'm training or
Yeah.
doing my day job at the moment. There's no real time for anything else as
Yeah.
such. But yeah, so I'll be doing that. I've got a Just Giving link thing that's on my Instagram page, the Dapper Magician. So yeah, feel free to donate to that. It goes to golden
Yeah.
retrievers, which are just the best animals on the planet. I will argue that until the sun goes down. Um, so yeah, and I'm fighting in Taunton on the 16th of November, so I'll start posting updates and stuff like that for anyone who wants to, watch me get punched in the face.
Yeah. So yeah, once again, thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we head off or
No, just thank you so much for the opportunity. Yeah, we met like a month ago, didn't we? At
yeah, I think
the
yeah, time flies,
was,
doesn't it?
was it was like an
Um,
award ceremony for
reset
young people.
North Somerset, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one. And I've then started following your story. So I think you're absolutely amazing. The
Oh,
message that you're
thanks.
spreading is
Thanks.
absolutely incredible. So just keep up the good work, and when you're rich and famous, I'll come and be your personal magician.
Thank you, thank you.
Not a
Yeah,
problem.
Same goes to you. Keep up the good fight and keep doing what you're doing. And I'm so happy. You found your trade and your passion, and giving out to the world and making people smile for once, which we need more of.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.
You too. Cheers, mate.